Hi everybody. So Jennifer and I were talking about using Microsoft Teams this year in our class, and rather than having everybody stay after school for professional development, we thought it would be better if we could make a video so that you guys can incorporate this in your own classrooms.
Okay, so first, how you log on to Microsoft Teams, you're going to get there through your email. So if you'll click on the little blue waffle in the top left corner, and then select the Teams icon. It's purple, it has a T on it, but it should also say Teams out to the side. So as you can see, I've got several teams. All of the new teachers for the system are part of one, and then these are the ones that I've been using for my classroom. So when you want to start a new team, you'll go to Join or Create a Team down here at the bottom, and then select Create a Team. Now it gives you 4 different options, but the one that we need here is the classes option. It's designed specifically for teachers. And the first thing it's going to ask you to do is name your class. So we'll do this MS Teams PD. And then you can also add in a description. What I've done for my classes is name them after each class period so I can keep track. And then this is where you would add students. Now, if you ever need to go back later and add more students, maybe you have a student switched out of your class or someone who transfers in, you can always go back and do that later. But for the initial setup, all you have to do is add a student. It works the exact same way as our email. So let's say I'm going to add Mr. Moore as a student. Just type the name and it'll pull them up. We'll add Miss Gann. And we'll add Miss Oates. So now these 3 are my students, but notice that they're members, not owners. You will be the only owner, which means that you are the only one who can make changes to the page. Now if you wanted to co-own a class, maybe you wanted more than one teacher in on it, you could also list them as an owner, and then they would also be able to send assignments to the page. But that'll be our team for now.
Also, they are hoping that in the near future, we will be able to take our SDI class code and type it in so that it automatically uploads your students into each of the teams. But for right now, it really just is on an individual basis.
Okay, so the first tab that's listed on your new Teams page is going to be the Conversations page. This works exactly like a classroom and also, or not a classroom, this works exactly like a chat room and also sort of like Facebook or Twitter where you can tag people. So you can make a post and send it, and the message is completely public and sent to everyone in the team. Now your students can post messages and reply to you or to each other, but nothing they do on here is private, so you can always see what they're doing. And then also, if you ever need to, you can also mute the student as you need. I don't have the option to mute myself here, but when you have a student and maybe they're sending messages and you want them to get focused, you can click the little 3 dots, and there will be an option over here that says mute student. The next tab is a Files page, and this is a great place. It kind of works like a classroom library of sorts. You can upload homework documents, makeup work, maybe lecture notes, or you could upload links to particular websites you want them to remember for maybe a class project. And you can also have SharePoint documents, sort of like we upload our lesson plans every week. You can create a document similar to that for the students to use. Now the next tab is Class Notebook. We don't have this set up for our Teams pages because we use hard copy interactive notebooks in our class, but it works very similar to a binder or a notebook for a class. It's just digital, so they can write notes, upload things, maybe even respond to like a writing prompt you might pose to them. It would require that you set up a OneNote class notebook. Since I don't have that as an example, I won't be able to take you through that. And then finally, this is the assignments page. Now, when you want to create an assignment, go over to the Create tab and click the arrow. Later on, when you have several assignments created, you can create from existing. Maybe you'll have an assignment that you'll need to do the same instructions, but for right now we don't have any created, so we'll click New Assignment. Okay, so when you create an assignment on Microsoft Teams, you don't have to keep creating the exact same assignment for each class. You can go ahead and assign it to all of your classes. You would just click Assign To, and then select all of the classes that you want to assign it to. Now, if you just want the assignment to go to one class, you can just select one class. Also, you always have the option to send an assignment only to a particular student or a group of students. So this would be a great tool to use for differentiation. Maybe you have a group of students who you know just need to work on a specific skill. You could send it to them and they would never know that they're the only ones that got that assignment. Similarly, maybe if you have a student who's in alternative school or in ISD for the day, you can send them the assignment you want them to work on, and again, they'll only know what you've sent to them. They won't know what anyone else is doing. So you'll need to title the assignment. And here in this section is where you can enter your instructions. Now, if you would prefer to write your instructions in something like a Microsoft Word document, you can always add that under Resources. What I've been doing lately is putting the basic instructions in this box, and then anything else that I need them to do, I've been adding under Add Resources. So under Add Resources, you can select things that are in your OneDrive. You can also upload links to websites that they might know, that they might need to have access to. And then once you're done with that, you can select the due date. Now, automatically it's going to make things due the next day at 11:59 p.m. But you can always change that to whatever date you want it done. You can go ahead and set up assignments ahead of time. So maybe you're working on something over the weekend, but you know you don't want to assign it until Thursday of that following week. So you can schedule to assign later and then select again, just like up here, the day that you want the assignment to be sent out. We also have an option to do a late turn-in. You can turn it off and students would not be able to submit at all if they're past the due date. If you allow them to turn in after the due date has passed, it will still notify you if they have turned it in late. They can just still submit it. Now when it comes to grading, you can use the points feature. You just have to click yes and put in how many points the assignment was worth. But if you don't want to go the points route and you want to add a rubric, it lets you create your own rubric. And what you would do is title the rubric, enter a description of the rubric, and then you establish your grading criteria. So you'd list your categories on this column, and then you can add as many rows as you would need. And it automatically sets up with 4 different options: excellent, good, fair, or poor. But you can always add more rows if you needed to. Now, I already have one created, so I can show you it as an example. This is one that I created to use for a paragraph writing assignment. So you can see that I have categories set up on the left, and then the criteria that they'd have to meet in order to score within that target. Now at the top of the page, you can have it allocate points for each target for you, and it will automatically do it based on the number. So here, if a student scored excellent for their topic sentence, it would give them 4 points. But it also lets you decide how much you want each target, each criteria, to be weighted.
Okay, so lately we've been using the Assignments tab for Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. At first we were a little bit concerned about how quickly our students would be able to access Microsoft Teams and navigate their way through it. And I can already tell that from the first time they used it to right now, I mean a matter of 2 weeks, they're becoming like pros. The biggest thing that they're having an issue with is maybe remembering their email username or their password. But when they actually get into Teams and they're trying to find their way around, they're doing a great job. What took us initially maybe 45 minutes, they've now got down to doing the assignment within the time frame of 15. So for me, it's working out very, very well. I usually use Edmodo. I see that Microsoft Teams is going to easily take its place, and I really encourage anybody who's interested to give it a try. They're doing this in their English classes, they're doing this with Coach Williams, so this is not going to be anything new if you start this next week or later on in the school year. Okay? Well, I hope you enjoy.